roughly a month ago, it was the rookie premiere for the NFL. So someone went online and posted an image of the 2016 rookie premiere, which happened just about a decade ago. So I figured let's go through all 37 players and see how their NFL careers unfolded. Jared Goff was the first overall pick in the 2016 NFL draft by the Los Angeles Rams. He helped lead the Rams during their move to Los Angeles beginning in 2016. He proceeded to help lead them to a Super Bowl appearance in 2018 that they would lose to the New England Patriots. Eventually traded in 2021 to the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford, who would go on to lead the Rams to a Super Bowl that same season. Meanwhile, Goff in Detroit helped lead the Lions to back-to-back division titles in 2023 and 2024, and an NFC Championship game appearance in 2023. Entering the 2026 season, he has a career record of 90, 60, and 1. He's 27th in career passing yards with 39,622 and 25th in passing touchdowns at 256, and those two rankings should be climbing as the season progresses. Carson Wentz was the second overall pick to the Philadelphia Eagles out of North Dakota State. He had a really good 2017 season that was shaping up to be MVP caliber, but it was cut short due to injury. Still, though, the Eagles would go on to win their first Super Bowl in franchise history that season off of the momentum he gave them early on in the season. Eventually, he was traded to the Colts, where he would spend one season, then proceeded to be traded to Washington to spend one season, before bouncing around between the Rams, Chiefs, and the Vikings, where he does remain. Entering the 2026 season as a backup, Carson Wentz has a career 49, 49, and 1 record. He also has 23,626 passing yards and 159 passing touchdowns. Was drafted to be the face of the Eagles going forward, but unfortunately after the injury, he was never really able to live up to expectations. Joey Bosa was the third overall pick of the then San Diego Chargers. He was a mainstay on the Chargers defensive line and was a crucial piece during their move to Los Angeles. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year and had multiple 10-plus sack seasons for the Chargers, but after a Pro Bowl season in 2024, he would depart and leave for a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. He had an okay season with the Bills and is currently still a free agent. As we enter the 2026 season, he has totaled 77 sacks and 372 tackles in his career up to this point, and I would not be surprised if he latches on somewhere during the season. Derrick Henry was the 45th overall pick by the Tennessee Titans. He has been 8 seasons with the Titans, having been the driving force on multiple playoff runs, including their improbable 2019 run that saw them make the AFC Championship game, but fall to the eventual Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. One of the many great running backs that have come through the Titans organization, joining Earl Campbell, Eddie George, and Chris Johnson. Eventually, he was let to walk in free agency where he would join the Baltimore Ravens. He would pair his strength in the backfield with the elusiveness of Lamar Jackson. Entering the 2026 season, he is 10th in career rushing yards at 13,018, and he could very easily get into the top 7 after this season. He is also 4th in career rushing touchdowns at 122, and he is going to pass Marcus Allen this upcoming season to get up to 3rd. Hunter Henry was the 35th overall pick of the then San Diego Chargers. He was a solid tight end option for the Chargers in 4 of his 5 seasons there, as he missed all of his 3rd season in the league due to injury. He left in free agency for the New England Patriots, where he has continued to be his very reliable and dependable self at tight end. He is entering the final season of his 2024 3-year extension, so going to be up for another payday coming up here soon, and it does seem like that the Patriots would want to have him back. As we enter the 2026 season, he totals 5,295 yards and 47 touchdowns, and he's entering his age 32 season. Demarcus Robinson was the 126th overall pick of the Kansas City Chiefs. He would spend his first 6 seasons in the league with the Chiefs, where he would win a Super Bowl in 2019. During his Chiefs tenure, he caught 145 passes for 1,679 yards and 14 touchdowns. 2022 was spent with the Baltimore Ravens. He saw some action this season, catching 48 passes. He would then go on to have a 2-year stint with the Los Angeles Rams, and this is where he really started to blossom, mainly during that 2024 season. He was an everyday starter for the Rams, catching 31 passes for 505 yards and 7 touchdowns, and he would pair this with a 2-year contract with the San Francisco 49ers that began this past season in 2025. Time will tell what his role will be with the 49ers this season, as their receiver room is seemingly coming together nicely, and he might be the receiver 3 over there. But nonetheless, Demarcus Robinson shown to be one of the better pieces of this draft class and of this rookie premiere. Michael Thomas was the 47th overall pick by the New Orleans Saints. He would spend his entire 7 career with the Saints, where he was a true receiver 1 up until the injury started to plague him in 2020. 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons to begin his career, including the legendary 2019 season with him having over 1,700 yards receiving and winning Offensive Player of the Year. He was a two-time first-team All-Pro player, a three-time Pro Bowler, and was a truly special player, but due to injuries, he was out of the league just as quickly as he took the league by storm. Sterling Shepard was the 40th overall pick of the New York Giants. He was a very reliable receiver for the Giants over the course of 8 seasons. He was a cornerstone piece of the offense that totaled just under 4,100 yards with the Giants on 372 catches. He would sign with Tampa before the 2024 season, where he spent 2 seasons. During those 2 seasons, he would amass 705 yards, getting to 4,800 over the course of his career, and 25 receiving touchdowns. He is currently a free agent still, and I do expect him to sign somewhere either right before training camp begins or at some point during the season, though we shall see as we are still a few weeks away from training camp. Jordan Howard was the 150th overall pick by the Chicago Bears. He hit the ground running with a Pro Bowl in his rookie season while gaining 1,313 yards and followed it up with a 1,122-yard season. 2018 was a slight down year, but Howard was still a really solid back, going for 935 yards and 9 touchdowns. He would spend 2019 with the Eagles, having another down year before signing a deal with Miami in 2020. He would spend 5 games with the Dolphins before being traded back to the Eagles and then fizzling out. For as quickly as Jordan Howard entered the league and as big of a splash as he would exit the league just as quickly, but this time with barely a splash. Josh Doctson was the 22nd overall pick. He would spend 3 seasons with Washington, with those 2017 and 18 seasons seeing him be a legit receiver option for them, starting in 26 games over 2 seasons and catching 79 passes for 1,034 yards. He would spend 2019 with the Minnesota Vikings, but missed most of the season due to injury. Eventually, the Jets would bring him in, but he opted out due to COVID, and the Jets would release him shortly after the 2020 season. 2021 was spent with the Arizona Cardinals practice squad, but he only lasted roughly a month before being released, and from there fizzling out of the league. Tyler Boyd was the 55th overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. He would spend 8 seasons with the Bengals, being a very reliable piece to that receiver room throughout the years. Eventually, due to the high contract of Joe Burrow and the upcoming paydays for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, he was let to walk in 2024. He would find a home with the Tennessee Titans for the season before electing free agency before the 2025 season. He has still yet to sign on with anyone, but I do feel like he could eventually come back into the league, maybe even this season, or maybe even branch off elsewhere to a different professional league. As of now, though, he has 6,390 receiving yards in his career and 31 touchdowns. Chris Moore was the 107th overall pick by the Baltimore Ravens. He spent 5 seasons with the Ravens, being a special teams option for them, mainly as a punt returner. He would spend 2 seasons with the Houston Texans, where he would get more chances as a wide receiver, catching 69 passes for 775 yards and 4 touchdowns. 2023 was spent with the Tennessee Titans, and 2024 was spent with both the Cardinals and Commanders. He did play last season for the Washington Commanders as a depth receiver option. He caught 11 passes for 207 yards and a touchdown. He remains a free agent at this point as we get closer to the 2026 season, and he has a market value of a little over $1 million according to SpotTrack. Kenyon Drake was the 73rd overall pick by the Miami Dolphins, and he was always a staple in that Miami backfield. Spent a little over 3 seasons with the Dolphins, including being the player to score one of the most iconic touchdowns in Dolphins history, that being the Miami Miracle. He was traded to Arizona as part of the 2019 fire sale Miami had. From there, he bounced around in a few different spots, including Las Vegas, Baltimore, and Green Bay. He has been out of the league since 2023, and it seems like his career has come to a close. So with that, he has 3,866 rushing yards and 41 total touchdowns. Will Fuller was the 21st overall pick by the Houston Texans. He would spend 5 seasons with the Texans, always showed potential, but just couldn't quite stay healthy as he never played a full season in the league. Eventually, he would leave Houston to sign a 1-year prove-it deal with the Miami Dolphins. He would play all of 2 games for Miami before missing the rest of the season due to a finger injury. He has been out of the league since, no team willing to take a chance on him, and him not trying to go elsewhere to other leagues to try and get back to the league. So his career will be ended with 3,136 receiving yards and 24 touchdowns. Moritz Böhringer was the 180th overall pick by the Minnesota Vikings. He was the first European player to be drafted without also having played college football. He lasted on practice squads for 5 seasons between the Vikings and Bengals before eventually returning to Europe to continue his career in the GFL. He never saw playing time in the NFL, but he did have a very successful 2021 season in the GFL. His team went undefeated during a regular season, and on the season he had 691 yards and 9 touchdowns. Devontae Booker was the 136th overall pick of the Denver Broncos. He would last 4 seasons with the Broncos as their main running back too. His first career carry in the NFL was against the Carolina Panthers, and it resulted in a fumble. He also spent a season with the Raiders and Giants in 2020 and 2021 respectively before being out of the league. For having such a short career, he actually has pretty good numbers, totaling 2,119 yards and 13 total touchdowns during his brief stay in the NFL. Paxton Lynch was the 26th overall pick by the Denver Broncos, was kind of drafted as the future of Denver after the Peyton Manning era. He never really found success though with Denver, starting in 4 games over the course of 2 seasons. He would throw for 792 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in those respective games. Eventually, he would make his way to the Steelers practice squad and the Steelers main roster in 2019. From there, he bounced around to all of the league, from the CFL with the Rough Riders to the USFL with the Michigan Panthers, the XFL with the Orlando Guardians, and the San Antonio Brahmas. Because of this, he holds the feat of being the only quarterback to ever be benched across all 4 leagues. He now plays in the Arena League with the Colorado Spartans after meeting the owner at his son's youth football practice. He signed a deal that would pay him $600 per game, of which he would play 3 games for the Spartans before tearing his LCL and being out for the remainder of the season. Alex Collins was the 171st overall pick. He spent his rookie season with the Seattle Seahawks, playing in 20% of the snaps. He was waived and latched on with the Baltimore Ravens for 2 seasons, where he was a proper starter and totaled 1,384 yards and 13 touchdowns. He would miss the 2019 season due to off-the-field issues that saw him get suspended for 3 weeks as well. He returned to Seattle for another 2 seasons where he couldn't really catch on in a consistently prominent role for the Seahawks. The 2023 season saw him make his way to the USFL and the Memphis Showboats, where he would have a pass and touchdown that season, but was placed on a season-ending IR shortly after. Unfortunately, he would be taken away too soon, as in August of 2023, he would pass away in a motorcycle accident near his hometown of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Corey Coleman was the 15th overall pick by the Cleveland Browns. He only played 2 seasons for the Browns, where he was a fine player but couldn't really stay healthy, having played in only 19 games over the 2 seasons. He did total 718 yards and 5 touchdowns for the Browns during his brief tenure. Before the 2018 season, he would be traded to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for a 7th round pick. He was waived not long after the trade and landed on the Patriots practice squad before being claimed by the Giants, where he played in 8 games and only had 8 targets. Eventually, he would find a home with the Chiefs practice squad in 2022, but it didn't really lead anywhere and was out of the league shortly after. In 2023, he would find his way to the USFL and the Philadelphia Stars. As a member of the Stars, he would lead the league in receiving yards and would then be selected by the Michigan Panthers during the 2024 UFL dispersal draft. However, not long after this dispersal draft, Corey Coleman would retire from professional football. Pharaoh Cooper was the 117th overall pick by the Los Angeles Rams. He was a great returnman for the Rams during his 2.5 seasons, including making a Pro Bowl and was first-team All-Pro in 2017. During this 2017 season, he amassed just over 1,300 return yards with a kick return touchdown. He would bounce around from 2018 until 2022, spending time with the Cardinals, Panthers, Jaguars, and Giants before fizzling out of the league. He would try to find a home during 2023, but being unable to do so, he announced his retirement in June of 2024. Kevin Hogan was the 162nd overall pick. He spent the first 2 seasons with the Browns, making appearances in 8 games, including a start against the Texans. He would bounce around from practice squads with the Broncos, Bengals, Titans, and Texans, being activated for game appearances during 2021 with the Tennessee Titans. He would make his way to the UFL with the San Antonio Brahmas, playing in 3 games during 2024. He was also briefly their starter during the 2025 season, but when the Brahmas moved to Orlando for 2026, he did not follow them and has been out of the league and out of professional football since. Ricardo Lewis was the 114th overall pick of the Cleveland Browns. He spent the first 2 seasons of his career with the Browns, playing in every game, making 12 official starts. He caught 45 passes for 562 yards during his Browns tenure, and from there he would spend a season with the Miami Dolphins, where he didn't see any playing time. He took a year off during 2020 before making his way to the Rough Riders of the CFL, where he caught 18 passes for 213 yards and 2 touchdowns, but was released shortly after the season, and from there has not been given another chance anywhere else. Paul Perkins was the 149th overall pick of the New York Giants. He would spend 2 seasons with the Giants, making starts in 4 games of the 25 he appeared in, while totaling 546 yards rushing. He would miss all of 2018 due to a non-football related injury and was released early into the 2019 season. He would be picked up by the Lions and make 4 appearances before being let go and bouncing around from the Jaguars, Ravens, and Colts. He was released in May of 2021 by the Indianapolis Colts, and since he has sat back and watched his brother Bryce Perkins become UFL MVP and a member of the Los Angeles Rams, and his cousin Caden Proctor be drafted in the first round by the Miami Dolphins this past NFL draft. Keenan Reynolds was the 182nd overall pick of the Baltimore Ravens, although he would not see playing time until 2018 with the Seattle Seahawks. During this 2018 season, he would only get 21 snaps over the course of 2 games. He would miss all of 2019 and then would join the XFL and the Seattle Dragons. With the Seattle Dragons, he would be named the team captain and would be the team's secret weapon, according to then head coach Jim Zorn. And it would sort of be proven true, as in the first bit of XFL action, he returned the opening kick and caught an extra point. However, he would not return to the XFL after the league resumed operations after COVID, and has since committed to his Navy service, where he is a lieutenant and also currently works for the Navy Football Radio Network. Laquan Treadwell was the 23rd overall pick by the Minnesota Vikings, where he spent his first 4 seasons. He was never really able to find a role in the receiver room and he saw minimal chances, but the peaks were during the 2017 and 18 seasons, where he caught 55 passes for 502 yards and a touchdown. From there, he would bounce around for a few years, going from the Falcons to the Jaguars and the Seahawks, then the Baltimore Ravens. Finally, he would find a home with the Indianapolis Colts, where he spent the past 2 seasons. He saw appearances in 12 games over those 2 seasons, mainly as a special teams player, as he didn't get a target in any game. He managed to sign a 1-year deal back with the Indianapolis Colts before this upcoming season, so his career is staying afloat, which is a lot more than what some other players can say. DeAndre Washington was the 143rd overall pick of the Oakland Raiders. He spent his first 4 seasons with the Raiders and found some success. With the Raiders, he got 282 carries and totaling 1,122 yards and 7 touchdowns. He would be able to latch on with the Chiefs for 2020, where he saw action in 1 game, before being traded to Miami, where he saw action in 3 games. From there, he would fall out of the league shortly thereafter, but his time in Oakland is definitely one you can look back on and be pretty okay with. Cody Kessler was the 93rd overall pick of the Cleveland Browns. He would spend 2 seasons with the Browns, starting in 8 games during his rookie season, unfortunately losing all of them. He did throw a completion percentage of roughly 66% for 1,380 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He would get another chance in 2018 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, starting in 4 games, going 2-2 in those games, while throwing for 709 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. From there, he would land on the Eagles practice squad before being claimed by the Patriots, but he didn't see any action and was out of the league shortly after. Connor Cook was the 100th overall pick of the then Oakland Raiders. He would spend 2 seasons with the Raiders, though only playing in 1 game, where he would go 14 for 21 with a touchdown and an interception. He would proceed to bounce around from the Panthers, Bengals, and Lions practice squad, so never really latching on anywhere. Thus, for 2020, he would join the XFL and the Houston Roughnecks for a quarterback battle with PJ Walker. For those that keep up with spring football, you would know that Connor Cook lost his quarterback battle to PJ Walker, and after the league briefly suspended operations, he would be out of professional football, having not played another snap since. Cardell Jones was the 139th overall pick of the Buffalo Bills. He is the player that made the famous "ain't come to play school" tweet of all those years ago. He spent his rookie season with the Bills, making an appearance in 1 game, going 6 for 11 with an interception. Spent the following 2 seasons on the bench with the Chargers before going to the Seahawks practice squad. In 2020, he would spend it with the XFL's DC Defenders, where he was a pretty popular name. Starting in 5 games for the Defenders, he would throw for 674 yards, 4 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions. In 2022, he briefly spent it with the CFL's Edmonton Elks, and 2023, he was briefly with the Indoor Football League's Massachusetts Pirates, but he never showed up to practice and thus was waived a few days later. Wendell Smallwood was the 153rd overall pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, where he would spend his first 3 seasons, including their 2017 Super Bowl winning season. During those 3 years, he totaled 211 carries for 850 yards and 5 touchdowns. Would follow up his time in Philly with stints with Washington, Pittsburgh, the Jaguars practice squad, and then back to Washington, where he wouldn't see the field a lot and eventually sizzle out of the league. He would follow up his seasons in Philly with stints in Washington, Pittsburgh, the Jaguars practice squad, and then back in Washington. He wouldn't see a ton of on-the-field action and would sizzle out of the league shortly after. Jonathan Williams was the 156th overall pick of the Buffalo Bills, where he would spend his rookie season, getting 27 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. He would spend 2017 and parts of 2018 with the New Orleans Saints practice squad before being claimed by the Indianapolis Colts, where he would spend the rest of 2018 and 2019. After a season with the Colts that saw him get 49 carries and 235 yards and a touchdown, he would latch on with the Lions for a season before going to the Giants practice squad and eventually being claimed by Washington, where he would spend all of 3 seasons. In those 3 seasons, he totaled 55 carries for 229 yards and a touchdown in his 19 games. 2023 was his final season in the NFL, but I would not be surprised if he tries again at some point in the near future with one of these other spring leagues going on, or maybe if the NFL comes calling again. DJ Prozise was the 90th overall pick by the Seattle Seahawks. He spent 4 seasons with Seattle, getting 30 carries his rookie season for 172 yards and a touchdown, and 23 carries his 4th season for 72 yards and a touchdown, but the 2 in between he didn't see many action. Same went for his 1 season in Houston during 2020, where he had only 10 carries. He would spend 2 seasons with the Buccaneers on their practice squad before falling out of the league shortly after. Braxton Miller was the 85th overall pick of the Houston Texans. He would make the transition to wide receiver in the NFL after being a quarterback for Ohio State. Spent the first 2 seasons with the Texans, where he was a starter for 9 games of the 21 games he did play in. He caught 34 passes for 621 yards and 2 touchdowns in his career. After his Houston tenure, he would bounce around from the Eagles, Browns, and Panthers practice squads, but being unable to stick anywhere and has not played professional football since. Trevor Davis was the 163rd overall pick of the Green Bay Packers. He didn't see a ton of action during his time in Green Bay, getting no starts across 29 games and 3 seasons, but he did have a nice touchdown reception. He missed all of 2018 due to injury, and shortly into 2019, he was traded to the Raiders for a 6th-round pick. He would start in 4 games for the Raiders, getting 7 receptions, but from there bouncing around to the Dolphins, Bears, Commanders, and Falcons. But he never was able to stick anywhere and since has retired. Leonte Carroo was the 86th overall pick by the Miami Dolphins. He only lasted 3 seasons in the league, never really able to find a role in Miami, being a primarily special teams player. He was suspended for 4 games during the 2019 offseason after his rookie contract expired, and from there his career seemingly came to a close. No team has given him a chance. He hasn't really gone elsewhere to other leagues, so his career is going to end with only 192 yards and 2 touchdowns during his brief time in Miami. Tyler Ervin was the 119th overall pick of the Houston Texans. Spent 3 seasons with the Texans, playing a total of 25 games, primarily as a special teams player. He would be brought on to the Ravens practice squad and then proceeded to be signed by the Packers during the season. He has been out of the league since 2020, and in those minimal chances he got, he totaled 278 yards from scrimmage. Christian Hackenberg was the 51st overall pick by the New York Jets. He spent 2 seasons on the Jets roster, never seen playing time during the regular season. He would find homes with the Raiders, Eagles, and Bengals via their respective practice squads, but it wouldn't be until 2019 until he saw his first professional action. This would come through the Alliance of American Football and the Memphis Express. He would play 3 games for the Express, having 32 for 62 completion, 277 yards, and 3 interceptions. So there's the careers of all 37 players that were in the 2016 Rookie Premiere. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.